Ahoy, mateys! 'Tis I, Captain Horatio Honeyflakes, and I be here to tell you about me newest crowdfunding campaign. The adventures continue with me crew, the Mighty Mascots, in issues 7, 8, and 9. Just focus your looking glass on the amazing artwork of Ian Warianto and Anton Bondi. Me crew, the Mighty Mascots, are up against some scurvy scallywags, and we need ye help to defeat them. There be a bounty of exclusive treasure, only available here, where X marks the spot. I spy a huge coffer of bonuses and stretch goals on the horizon. Then please consider pledging so we can continue these adventures with the weirdest crew I ever had the pleasure of sailing with. Mascots Unleashed!
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Indie Comics Relay. I'm your host, Keith Gleason, creator of the Mighty Mascots and promoter for the Plastic City Comic-Con. With me, as always, Johnny C., creator of Sartana and Surrounded by Death and The Pond.
In the pond!
I got to get that in there for Roger every week. What's going on, dude? I haven't talked to you in a while.
I know. I feel like it's been forever. I was hoping to go to the movies with you guys last week, but I had other plans.
I know, and I was gonna. I feel like I'm losing money because I only got to go to the movies once, and I think my rebill is coming up this week. So
is it?
They got me this month, you know. So
yeah, but I had 2 months in a row like that. And for people who don't know, it's Showcase Subscribe. We're not endorsing the product. We say that we use it, and basically for like $20 a month, you get 3 movie viewings. And if you go twice, it kind of pays for itself.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's hard to even go once, You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So I've got 1 to use and 2 movies I need to see this week. So I'm kind of in a quandary. Whoa.
Yeah, so you're right there with me too. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
try to possibly see something this week. I don't know what's out. I know the new Spider-Man is out. I haven't seen that.
New Spider-Man is already out from last
Yeah.
weekend,
I
and
mean,
Transformers is out this week.
oh Jesus.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Normally at this point I wouldn't care about a Transformers movie, but Bumblebee was really good. And there's good like reviews for this next one. So
Already,
I'm
yeah.
intrigued. I'm highly
It's
intrigued.
not Michael Bay, right? He
No.
just produced it, so it's a different director, right?
Yeah, I think it's the guy who may have I don't know, Stephen Capel Jr. He did something else recently. I forget what it was, but something was
It does look
that's
like
very...
it has a nice battle scene, and you can kind of see what's going on now.
Yeah.
You know, where it used to just be
the
like
90s.
this mechanical mess, you know,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
when Michael Bay was directing it, you know.
Exactly.
But yeah, no. So what have you been up to, dude? I gotta fill you in on so much stuff, you know.
Oh, I bet we'll have to chit chat a little bit after the show.
Yeah, we definitely gotta catch up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, one of the things I will talk about is I was at the Salem Arts Festival this past weekend.
Oh yeah.
And oh my god, dude, what a
really?
nightmare. Well, we were there Saturday, and if you remember the weather on Saturday,
it was really
like,
bad out.
Yeah, it was like it's like 50 and like
it was
rainy.
cold and rainy. Yeah,
But this place has no rain date, so it was like rain or shine. They're doing the show.
Yeah.
So, oh my god, we didn't lose much. The rain was brutal, though. I mean, our tent was covered.
That's tough when you're selling comics and you have water falling from the sky.
Yeah,
you're like, what do I do here?
I did what you do at shows. I put all my comics in bags and boards, so I didn't lose any of those. We lost a couple of prints, and it was just because like a nice drop kind of flew right into the print thing and landed on one of them, and then it soaked through the second one. So we lost 2 prints, but that was the worst of it. And then they were like, well, you guys coming back on Sunday? And I looked at the weather, and it was supposed to be like the same thing. And I'm like, no, we're not coming back.
And you're like, hell's no.
Yeah, I learned my lesson. But we managed to eke out at least the money. We were able to make back the money that we spent to go there. So that was huge. That's
key.
And there was enough people out. There was enough people out in Salem to make it worthwhile. Even in the rain, people were walking around. So, you know, we were happened to catch a few, and we sold stuff, which is great, you know.
Yeah.
I felt bad for my brother-in-law, who is also an artist. He was there too, set up.
Oh, really?
But he showed up in shorts and like a short sleeve shirt. And like I had busted out my winter jacket and my winter hat. I was out there with that, and he's out there with shorts. It was like nuts. I was like, oh, you're crazy, you know. I wouldn't be surprised if he's sick this week, basically, you know.
Yeah, that's tough. How long of a show was it? How long were you guys outside?
It was Saturday from like 11 to 6. It had kind of
that's a long day.
Yeah, and we were down like one of the hall, like it was really like it was like a festival where everybody was all over the place. And we were down like some alleyways. I felt like I was in Diagon Alley from like Harry Potter or something, you know? Yeah, it was like we were in between trees, and like my Mighty Mascots banner was freaking soaked though by the end of the day. Like
that's not the mechanical banner though, is it?
No, I didn't bring.
Yeah, I was about to say that would have been disastrous.
Yeah, we spent all day Sunday basically just getting like the rain off of everything. Like we put it, you know, blow drying it or taking everything out just to make sure there's no mold sets in. And what a nightmare! I don't think. I think for future outdoor stuff, if it's rains in the schedule, I think I'm just gonna be like, nope, not showing up. You know.
Yep.
It's not worth it, you know. So yeah, it was crazy. I mean, how was your week? Was it
it was pretty busy.
Yeah. Nope. Lost you there, Johnny. I don't know what happened. Well, while we're waiting for Johnny, we'll see who's in the chat tonight. We got my wife, Amy's Birdhouse. Good evening, folks. So what you want? Hey all, thanks for watching. I think that's Johnny's Twitter or Twitch account. Let me see. Harry said, hey, where's my audition for the Plastic City commercial? Harry, yeah, I don't know. So that the commercial's being done by a film, a filmmaker that came to me to want to do the commercial. So they kind of asked me to put a call out to our Facebook and Twitter and all that. And I don't. Hey, there he is.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
I don't know
Again,
what
new camera, like new technology. Of course, something's going to go wrong.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I started going through our comments here, and I brought this one up. So I put a call out on the Plastic City Twitter and Facebook about a commercial. We're going to do a commercial. I have, I think, do you know Phil Haley at all, Johnny? He's a filmmaker.
I might remember him by face if I've seen him before.
Okay, yeah, you probably see him. He goes to a lot of Comic Cons. He's an old friend of mine back from when I worked at comic stores back in the 2000s. He used to come in and we'd shoot the shit all the time. But he reached out to me and he said, "Hey, I'm doing you want me to do a commercial for Plastic City?" I was like, "Hell yeah, let's do it."
Nice.
So he had put a call out for cosplayers, and he was also looking for a location, like a gym, like a gymnasium to film it.
Any high school gym would allow you to rent it out.
Yeah, like I sent them all. People had suggestions for Boys and Girls Club and other places, so I sent that all to him. And Harry had suggested that he wouldn't mind being an extra in it. So I sent it all to the filmmakers, and I don't know if they're going to use any of my suggestions. So
do you know what the basis of the commercial is going to be at all, or anything?
I do. Like the idea behind it, he wants to do something like you've seen Renfield, right?
Just saw it this weekend.
Oh, you did? Okay. So he wants to do something like that, that group, like the support group. Yes, but it's like a support group for like cosplayers. And then like one of the cosplayers is all about, disrupting and making everybody go to Plastic City or something like that. That's like the whole idea behind it.
I like it.
It's going to be fun. He's going to do like a couple different lengths, like a 30-second, a 15-second, and a minute. And then if I can get it in time, I'd love to put it on cable,
Oh, that'd be
cool. Get that extra boost on viewers and everything. So
my pitch would be, I was just going to say, my pitch would be that you have Harry walk into a very empty Wallace Civic Center, and then you kind of have him look around going, "Where is everybody?" And then all of a sudden it's just like, you snap to the new place.
Like the new and improved Plastic City.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah,
you could have the Plastic City Plastic Man come in and guide his way through the new venue.
Yeah, so basically, Harry, I don't know if they're going to call you or not, but I passed everything over to them. So hopefully they will. And if not, maybe we'll do something next year and try to get all you guys in it or something, But
I'll advocate for you, Harry. I know that you're good for
it. Yeah. So that's a huge help for us if we can get a commercial,
Yeah, for sure. I've seen actual airtime on commercials help even the smallest of shows.
Oh yeah.
So and I'm going to call it out real quick, and not to go on too much of a tangent, but Mike Conlon's show that he had.
Yeah. And right. That first year he did
that first year he did TV ads, and the frickin' mayor showed up.
Yeah. You know who told him about cable ads?
Who's that? You?
There you go. Well, I mean, everybody's shocked when you find out they're not that much. Like, they're really not that much money, like in the grand scheme of things. And I think it's because TV is like kind of no one watches it now, or everyone's streaming now. People do watch TV, but it's not the numbers it used to be.
Right.
Because the audience is skewed now. But it's a very affordable option, especially if you're showing something or throwing an event or something,
Right.
They run it on good key shows. So it doesn't hurt, Then let me get through the rest of these comments, and then we'll get to tonight's guests.
Yeah, let's do this.
And we said, in the Flash movie.
Audition. Oh, is that this weekend as well?
Oh God, I don't know if it is or not.
So
that's coming up.
I'm really curious to seeing because Michael Keaton's Batman. That's our Batman, Keith. That's
I know, right?
Batman.
I know. Yeah, that movie's gonna be like a Ready Player Not of the DC universe stuff, I think, right?
Yeah. I heard some other wild.
I heard some wild stuff too, and I wonder if it's true or not.
Yeah. The Superman rumor. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Oh, yes. I hope that's real.
Well, I heard 2 Superman rumers. I won't say anything. I'll tell you after the show.
Yeah, tell me after the show.
In case we want to do spoilers, but and then Rodgers said, "Good job, Keith." That's obviously because I said the pond.
Yep. Big shout out to Renatus, who created the pond.
Amy said, even though the weather was terrible and I was freezing at Salem, the people were really, really nice. It was pretty well organized, and it would have been great if it was warm and sunny. That is absolutely true. Salem just has a built-in tourist base, and if it had been 70 and sunny, I think we would have cleaned up, and then we would have had Sunday too,
Yeah, I feel like there's some communities where you could set up, and they're just so art-centric and art-focused that stuff like that will succeed,
Yeah.
There's places in Vermont, Burlington, Vermont, that are like that too. It's like you could throw an art festival any weekend and do really well.
Definitely.
A few food trucks and a few vendors, and boom, you got an event.
I'm telling you, and people aren't expecting comics there, so that kind of helps. But it also, I think it kind of helps too that I have Amy that does do art, that stuff for the festival. So it's there's a combination of both of us, So
yeah.
And then Harry said, "It'll be a stretch, but I can play aloof." I bet you can. Awesome. But yeah, I don't want to keep our guests too long.
Tonight, without further ado.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let me set it up real quick. So these guys are, I believe, editors for this anthology series. We had some of the group on, I think, a year ago. And it's an anthology that's put out by the Scott Snyder Substack class, I believe. So he does a class on his Substack, which is like the new fancy newsletter thing that people do now. And I guess like this anthology was born from that class, and they're doing a volume 2. And both the guests tonight, we were supposed to have 3 guests, but Justin Hawkins couldn't join us tonight. He had something come up. So we do have Logan, Rodgers, and Jason Holtzman, who I believe are the editors on this project. So, and it's interesting because you've worked in the anthologies, Johnny. So this is territory you know well. I have not worked on many anthologies, so it's good to learn about this stuff, So,
yeah. Well, so I read the sample that was sent over.
Okay.
And it made me feel. So I liked what I read so far.
Oh, really? That's good. Okay.
It was really good. It was real good.
The other thing that I noticed that they already hit their goal, which is awesome,
That's great.
But all right, so without further ado, let's bring in tonight's guests. Let's start with first Logan Rodgers. Hey, Logan.
Hello. How you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Also, we got Jason Holtzman. Jason, how's it going?
Hey,
good.
Jason.
How's everyone here?
Good. I thank you for coming on Indie Comics Relay. So the first thing we usually ask our guests, it's just sort of like it's a getting to know you kind of question. It's we love to know origins, like where a creator, where their passion and skill kind of blossomed from, So is there like a point in your past where you remember reading like that special comic or you seen that TV show or cartoon that like put you on this path to wanting to be a creator? Is there something that you can kind of point to? And we'll start with Jason.
Well, I think it really, as far as comics goes, it starts with the first Iron Man movie. I would have been around 4 at the time, and I think I was taken to see it. And so that's the movie I remember. That's the first movie I remember seeing in movie theaters was Iron Man. And so since then, I've grown up with the MCU. It's just a very vivid memory of little me being incredibly scared of his original Mark I suit when it busts out of the cave and it's like that huge bulky monster.
Yeah, it's like
I
a
was
flying furnace,
yeah, I was like, oh, what did my parents take me to? But then it got, it got upgraded and it looked better and I was much happier with it. So
that's funny because like you're
Yeah.
normally like a kid's first movie that like blows their mind is like a Star Wars, or it's funny that's interesting that it was Iron Man, and that was a great movie. So I could see like if I was youngish, I could see my mind being blown by that movie too. It's such a good movie. And how about you, Logan? Was there something you could point to in your past that kind of put you in this path?
Yeah, so I was raised a comics kid, but one of my first memories ever was going to Borders, rest in peace, the Borders bookstore chain, when I was 7 or 8, very young, and I got it was the black and white reprint of the Spider-Man Essentials that was essentially all of the original Ditko run. And it was also the first time I ever saw the amazing poster spread of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And so I walked out of that Borders with both that and Crisis on Infinite Earths. And then both those books changed my life from there on forward.
Wow.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, those
essentials were great too because they were cost effective. They were like a big collection of books, so you could read a bunch. I mean, it was black and white and newsprint-ish kind of paper, but man, if you just wanted story, like that was where it was at. I have a few of those essentials back here in the half-destroyed bookshelf.
Yep. Well, especially as a 7-year-old.
Oh yeah, and to be able to get like that's why I think graphic novels do so well now is because you get that whole story. Because imagine you only get one issue of the Crisis and not knowing, back then you like, is there another one coming? You didn't know, like it would just, there was no internet, when that was originally being released, and like you didn't know when it was coming, or if it, whatever. So I love that you can just grab the whole story now, and I think a lot of people like that as well,
I don't think there's many storylines that the big companies are doing right now that have that like month to month or week to week hook where it's like a big thing that, like I think the last one I remember was like Avengers versus X-Men. And then the one before that was probably Civil War. And I'm dating myself now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. They don't seem to do like when they do a crossover now, it seems to be like really contained within like 3 or 4 books. It's not like a whole universe thing anymore,
Right. Or like, I guess it doesn't seem like it's as expansive per se.
That
but even just like the need to buy these individual issues and storylines like that, right? It's like they've pushed more towards the graphic novels. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And I think like they're cannibalizing themselves now too with storylines. Like I saw that they did Civil War 2 and no one cared. Like like it was just like one of those sequels that just was like, who cares? We've already done this,
Yeah.
And I saw that they were going to do Inferno again, and it's just like, why? Like do something different,
Well, even House of X and Powers of X was like a greatest hits of X-Men notes from the from the past. You know what I mean?
Definitely, it was good. It was just it kind of went downhill after that.
Right.
After that series was over.
But that's the main company, and we're Indie Comics Relay.
Yes, that's right.
So there's awesome indie books out there that these guys are on the show here tonight to talk about.
Yeah. So now you are both editors for the project. Is that how it was? Now, did you guys ever create any comics on your own? Like, were you ever a writer or artist or?
I have not comics wise. I've done like creative projects throughout my life, but this is really my first big experience. I just finished my freshman year of college, so I'll be starting sophomore next summer. So yeah,
nice.
This is I always thought a project like this, because I want to go into the publishing field, would be something that would be like a senior project or a junior project. But I had this opportunity to do something like it now and just start building that resume early, so I jumped on it. So
right on. No, that makes sense. And so is your career path, are you trying to get into like editing like on a higher level? Like
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So I know a lot of creators out there are like, what does an editor do? Like what do you Do you guys just check grammar? Like, what does the editor do for like a project like this?
Real quick before I let these guys answer,
yeah.
When I first started out, I was like, "Who needs an editor?" And then, like, the more I got into it, I was like, "Man, I really needed an editor." I think you're remiss if you don't have an editor on your indie project. But I'll let these guys say why though.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Yeah, so this project's a bit unique in the sense that we aren't necessarily editors that have a company behind us, like the editors at Image or Boom or any of those. They're sort of already established. We're kind of a ramshackle group of students that are just getting together to do it. So our role as editors in this, and I'm not trying to downplay the importance of editorial in this particular project, but the way that we sculpted it for this was to be more of an educational experience and a back and forth dialogue, because we are a part of the Scott Snyder Substack class through his Our Best Jacket label imprint. And so we set this up way more to be a long form dialogue of how editorial can assist you at various stages of development. We did that one half to give ourselves the lesson as editors, and one half to give the writers and artists the lesson as writers and artists. So writers, they got to submit a pitch. We gave them review. They got to submit a first draft. We gave them review for that. Their second draft was the final draft they had to hand off to their artists. Artists would show their layouts or their first like page or two before they moved on to doing the final stuff, before it go off to inkers, and it'd be way harder to give feedback without them having to start a page from scratch. And then after that, we said, okay, once you get all that done, it's on your own. Turn in the final comic by about the beginning of 2023, January 15th at the latest. And then we went through all of them and gave the final round of feedback that was like, hey, you need to fix the lettering here. You need to fix the little bit of art thing here. And it was all about the things that we couldn't catch or could grab and change easily without it being too much of an insult to the time of the creators, because we're not people who have the luxury of being paid by Marvel or DC or Image or any of those. A lot of us are students. A lot of us have day jobs. A lot of us are. Yeah, exactly. So our role was way more about helping people tell the best story that they could as we go along. And I think in that regard, we built a little bit more of an educational community. And that's the importance of editorial as far as this project goes.
Gotcha. So let me back up again a little bit, Logan. Like, where is that what your goal was in the comic industry? Were you looking to be an editor as well, or were you looking to be a writer, creator?
I prefer being a writer-artist combo myself. I've actually spent a good number of years publishing zines and little underground comics here in the Twin Cities where I am. Yeah, I only have like one or two collected volumes of stuff because, as anyone will tell you, it takes forever to do, especially when you work a day job. Yeah. But greater ambitions to eventually work somewhere in the industry at some level, whether that was as an editor or as a writer or as an artist, just wherever I could get the foot in the door. So this was the thing that ended up shaking out.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, like, hey, editing is needed. Like Johnny was saying, it's kind of like, I think it's kind of like a thankless job in a lot of ways. Same as lettering is kind of, like it's such a necessary part of the process, but it's not the flashiest or the, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like the glory of the
it's the glue to the wallpaper.
Absolutely.
It's what I'll add to what Logan said. In any band.
That's a great comparison, John. What were you gonna say, Jason?
Logan, like and all that, he basically highlighted everything that you might consider the fun aspect of editing. Because after everything he just said, there's still a lot of maybe the grunt work or administrative duty. Like, hey, we have 65 people in here. Only 20 of you have responded to this survey we put out. Please answer this survey. Hey, we have like 4 emails to respond to for different podcasts to be on. Are all our dates correct? Do the printers know exactly, like, have our page layout done? Do we know how many business cards we need for this next con? That all falls under editorial too. Once the creators get their stories in, they can kind of chill in our regard until it's time for the social media push where we do all kinds of stuff like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a lot more like directing and like project managing, I guess, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Basically,
Yeah.
Keith, things that you and I would just do independently on our own. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing where like, oh, well, I got to do some social media today. Like, you know, as an individual independent creator, where these guys are very lucky, they're working in a group. You know, that's stuff we have to manage on our own. That's kind of the beauty of about being in an anthology. And I'm sure these guys can attest to that, is that, you know, you're working collaboratively to get the word out. And then when you have a product to sell, you now have a big book on your table that you could sell for, you know, a significant amount of money that includes a lot of great stories. You're elevating everybody. You know, it's kind of, anthologies are really good for indie comics in that regard. It just helps in every aspect along the way, as far as sharpening your skills as an indie creator, elevating exposure for, you know, younger artists, or even, you know, anybody who's looking to kind of get their work out there and is willing to kind of be a part of the equation. You know, there's very few anthologies that do harm, so to speak, in that regard.
Yeah.
It builds a community too.
It does.
You know,
does.
like,
oh yeah.
It's like comic boot camp.
yeah, exactly. So how did you guys get involved, like, with Scott Snyder? Is it like, are you a fan of him from before the class, or is it something that you were like, let me just jump on this, they're doing an anthology? How did that go about?
So the anthology itself is all student run. So our association to Scott is simply because the wonderful editors of Volume 1 were able to do the work to get the original Tales from the Cloakroom Volume 1 together, and then they made the pitch to Scott to say, hey, could you please put the name on the book to endorse the work? It'll help, you know, give you PR for your class. It'll help us give PR for the book. It was a positive symbiotic relationship in that sense.
Yeah.
And then we got to sort of talk with editorial of the last one, and because they had done the gracious work of building that bridge, we were able to way more easily create a continuity of the dialogue as opposed to having to start from scratch. Jason and I also went to C2E2 this year and got to hang out with him for a minute or two and help give copies of the preview, that 4-story preview that you read, Johnny.
Yeah.
We had printed limited run of it, and so we had them at Scott's table. He handed them out to the first 150 or so fans that showed up.
That's
cool. I had that.
Yeah.
Man, I was in Artist Alley. If I wasn't tied to that table, I would have been in that line.
Yeah, you guys missed each other.
I know, right? Well, that's just the way at these big shows, you know.
That's awesome. And no, but that also, like, that's awesome that to hear that he did that, because normally they'll just slap creator will just slap a name on something, and you have no idea if he cares, or, you know, if he's even involved in it.
I was just gonna say, those are the two questions I had. Is that, you know, it sounds like Volume 1 was kind of like a template for you guys, so you're able to work off that, which hopefully made things a little easier for you. And then 2 is that he was actively involved. Now, was that the extent? Was just, you know, presenting at the table, or has he kind of checked in with the project as it's progressed?
It's entirely a student run and like managed thing. The extent of which Scott is helping us out is putting the presents on there, the Scott Snyder presents on there, just to like I was saying earlier, continue that positive symbiotic relationship. And to that end, I do have to say Scott really is doing the good work of a creator right now, where he is not just one of those people who's interested in just getting his own work out there, collecting his check, and just sort of going on with his night or his day or whatever. He is putting his best foot forward to help other creators out. Like in his class, he will review student work. If you are at a certain tier of the membership, because there's 2 tiers that you can join, you can give him a copy of your script or a copy of your comic, and he will do a one-on-one review with you. Like he is making time for his students to come and do these things. So there is a legitimate goodwill that he is trying to put into the comics world, and he is trying to help people make their best stories.
Yeah, that's great. I read his newsletter, but I have not joined like the Substack. And I've seen a couple of the lessons, like he's put on a few on his newsletter for free, and it is good information. Like, you know, a lot of it, I kind of know just from hearing it over the years from other people and stuff. But he also has like a different perspective, especially since he's sort of one of the newer, bigger comic creators in the last like 10 years, so it was kind of cool to see his voice and hear how he came up and things like that. So yeah, no, it's pretty cool especially if you're trying to break into comics. What is it like $7 a month or something to join
$7 a month
to join the class, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Is that the premium tier or the other tier?
That's the base tier. The
base
premium tier is like the founders tier, which that's currently closed right now. I don't remember the exact price, but he opens it up every so often. But like you said, he does those 5-minute one-on-ones, and he only has so much time in the world to help students.
Sure.
But I mean, he continued those out into the class. I want to stress, because Logan's like mentioned it, we're saying the word students. This anthology is all put together by members of the Substack. So we have our own Discord that's an offshoot. So every writer in the story is a student in Scott Snyder's class. I can't say the same, right? There's only so many people. So some of those artists and letterers, those might be outsourced people they know. But with that, Scott Snyder has changed the format of his class a bit. So I bet some of the lessons you've seen might be like general writing tips. Now what he does is he has an open submission form where students send their work in, and then he'll pick 1 or 2 issues for a class and bring that up and compare it with published work. He'll pick a topic and he'll be like, today we're going to focus on world building. And so he'll pull up one of the student submitted works, and then he'll pull up something like Star Wars, and he'll be like, so here's how like you did this, here's how we see it in the published world. He'll give pros and cons, and then he'll invite that student on there to come talk about their work. So we've actually had a few stories in the anthology, I think, featured in his class, and he's walked through them, and that's been super cool to see. And then there were some stories from the previous anthology that went through, including The Beekeeper's Due from the first anthology, which just got nominated for an Eisner for Best Short Story.
Oh,
so
really?
that was awesome.
Look at that.
Yeah,
right from the Snyder class, huh?
Yeah, that's
awesome.
Huge.
That is really cool. I think it's cool that he does that. Like, I mean, I don't know of any other creators that do like lessons like that, to try to help comic creators. I mean, I admire that. I've never met Scott Snyder. I've seen him at a couple conventions, but usually his line is like bonkers. So like you can't even get near him, So
one of my good friends, Paul Axel, who I table with at C2E2, is a part of the group or the class, and he always spoke highly of it, and it kind of piqued my interest a little bit. But even hearing you guys talk about it more, it's kind of intrigued me.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, actually got a question for you guys from Hannah Coy, thanks for joining us, Hannah.
Yeah, thanks,
does
Hannah.
Scott give any advice in his class that aids you in your editing process? I don't know if has he ever been an editor? I don't.
Is Hannah? Well, first, is Hannah a plant? Do you guys know Hannah by any chance?
I know her, but she's not a plant. She did that of her own accord. That's my girlfriend.
Yeah. So, Hannah, whether you come back or not, we'd love the sub. Just hit that sub button. But no, that's a good question, though. I mean, if you guys want to give us both your answers.
I mean, he does. There is like an open Q&A. It's normally for classes and stuff. And so every once in a while I've asked, because I'm interested in publishing, pointed questions like whether it relates to editing. I can't remember all the questions I've asked at the top of my head. But he did do a really great class. He invited Will Dennis over, Will Dennis used to edit Vertigo titles a lot.
That's an episode I saw, Jason.
Yes.
Actually,
and then he had him over. Now Will Dennis runs like his basically publishing line. He edits all his books, and that was a really great class because it was not just about editing, but also the business of the comic industry as a whole. So he talked about pitches. He talked about some of like the in-depth stuff, such as how things get optioned differently when you talk about movie deals and stuff like that. The best ways to contact editors. So there is like he covers all the bases. There's plenty you can learn from Scott. Like you'll learn about editing. You'll learn about artwork, how to communicate with your artist is a big thing Scott talks about because it's something he struggled with later on. And he loves to share stories about these artists who were like, dude, well, like, what are you trying to tell me? And how nervous he was. He's very open. I mean, like we've been saying, I can't speak enough to testament of the fact of just how kind and open Scott is, and making sure not only is everybody learning what they want, but everyone, feels like they're welcome. Any question is good to ask, and you're going to come out there knowing what you want to know if you have something you want to ask.
That's fantastic to hear. I mean, to have, because I've seen, courses and, creators on like YouTube channels that when they speak, they kind of speak condescendingly, or they have this like dictatorial vibe. Whereas like if you speak to somebody more the way it sounds like Scott's kind of approaching things, it sounds a little bit more friendly, a little bit more encouraging, which is helpful for the creative process. Because I know being a creator, it's like it can be tough in terms of like you're wearing you're kind of like you're exposed when you're wearing your creativity on your sleeve, on your shoulder. And to respect that and to know, okay, well, we don't want to shoot this person down. We want to encourage their creativity. So, and some people who try to impose like, oh, this is the way to do this and this is the way to do that, kind of don't consider that fully. So it's nice to hear that that's not the case.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, to that end, in my own personal experience, because my journey into publishing started out, one of the reasons I wanted to do this is I start out by asking questions. I just email people or I see them at cons. And I got to the point, I don't say this to say that I know everything, but I kept getting the same responses, or I couldn't come up with better questions. So I was like, okay, the next step is I need to get more experience so I can ask better questions. But to that end, I feel like the comic book world isn't known for having the best social media spaces all the time, but in person, going to cons, I mean, I've gone up or reached out to so many editors or professional artists, and just like nothing but kindness, willingness to explain, happy to talk to me. And I think, I mean, I've probably talked to, like tens of people, and I've really only had one experience, with a professional that I'd say was negative, but it's really, they went on a rant about how sometimes editorial interferes with their plans, and there's enough horror stories from the big two of editorial messing with people that's fair. So I don't even know if I would have called that experience negative to an extent.
He probably was being too honest, right? Yeah.
That's like when I asked Dirk Benedict at one of the Comic Cons I went to what he thought about Starbuck and the remake series. It was not pretty.
Really? Did you not get a pleasant answer, Johnny?
He leaned in.
I can just imagine what he said.
Oh, it was fun.
Oh man, that's funny. Well, the one thing I was going to say about Scott Snyder too is now he's kind of full on indie now. Like he doesn't. Yeah. He's not really working for Marvel and DC anymore, right? It's like, so I feel like, he's like a comrade, like in the trenches with us, even though we're probably more on the general level, like, and we're just like drunk, but
he's like, the high tier indie. We're like the low tier indie.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but that's cool though. I'm one of these days, I'm going to just pay like a couple months on there and just watch all the lessons, because that's the other thing. Like they're all archived too. So if you're quick enough, you could probably bang through them all in a month if you only wanted to pay $7,
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Logan. I was going to say the cool thing about what you were just saying too about Scott being indie is that he actually has, I forget which lesson it is, but he talks about his experience writing Dark Knight death metals, and that's like his swan song to his feelings for working for like the big two companies and like sort of the politics at the time of it. So I can't butcher it. I mean I'm going to butcher it if I go any further than that. I'm not Scott, but if you can find whatever lesson it is where he talks about that, it's very fascinating when you think about that in the light of him doing the Substack and the Distillery comics that he's now doing.
Interesting. Yeah. And it's funny. We were talking about like big crossovers at the beginning of the show, and that's probably like the last really huge one that I remember that actually had some impact. And, I mean, the Batman Who Laughs ended up being like this monstrous hit of a character, so I don't know. It's kind of cool. So I think Scott has the last really great crossover, to come out. What are you going to say, Johnny?
I was just going to ask. So I know that like when Mark Millar launched his website, the forum over there actually like helped boost creators that are, big time creators now. So I was just wondering, it sounds like, part of your subscription is getting into the community. Do you find that there's a lot of really proactive hustlers that you guys are, working with and communicating with here through the program?
Oh yeah, and
Yes.
I mean, yeah, it's like there's promotion everywhere, and I think one of the like lesser known parts, because I mean, I think the Substack has like tens of thousands of subscribers or something. I mean, that includes free ones, but he also has a Discord community set up, and like that's where you're seeing those, so-called hustlers. There's a lot of different channels on there, like writing tips, art tips, self-promotion, people exchanging scripts, exchanging notes, getting feedback, showing off their Kickstarters. It's a really nice community. We have our own mini version of that in like our Kickstarter in our Discord server for the anthology where that goes on too. The class as a whole in multiple different ways has really worked well to put together a community that fosters collaboration and creativity. There's just people working together all over the place.
Cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Finding a good online indie community is sometimes it can be tough because you'll have a few that are just ego driven or kind of not fully I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but not fully up to snuff. But to hear that everybody's supportive there is good too.
Wait, there's a hustler channel.
You have to pay extra for that, Harry.
Yeah. We're going to add anything to that?
Go to our link tree, the very last link, the one that has the age restriction on it.
That's awesome. So yeah, I definitely want to check out I brought up the Kickstarter here. So
let's take a look.
Bring that up. Yeah.
And again, you pull it up,
the stories that were in the preview were just awesome. They were just so good. I almost wanted more. I was sad they were so short.
What were you gonna say, Jason?
Yeah, sorry.
Well,
Jason,
on that note of, people working together. I should knock on wood here, but what I've been like a lot of we're the editors doing the podcast, and all these podcasters can't meet the whole the whole book because there's like 60 plus people involved in it, right? Mm-hmm. We have 18 stories. Most of the stories have 4 other people on their creative team, letters, colors, artists, and it is very nerve-wracking when you start. You have a Discord of 70 plus people, and you're like, how do we manage if 2 of these people really go off the rails, or some of these people are really ego driven, or people start getting mad at each other? And so far that hasn't happened. I mean, it's literally just been people dedicated to working together to get this book out there. And I'm incredibly thankful for that we haven't run into it's just people wanting to help each other and get out there. There haven't been any implosion problems yet, but we're nearing the stretch. So yeah.
we had a good comment here. Well, first, hello Diaz, thanks for joining us. Structure Arts said conventions with creator connecting events are great. Johnny, you've been to some of those.
Yeah, I've met people through creator events, and I think I've met Structure Arts through a creator event before as well. So it's just proof that it works.
Oh, nice.
and thanks for watching, my man. Glad you tuned in.
Oh yeah, no, awesome. Yeah, so take it away, guys. Tell us a little bit about Tales from the Cloakroom Volume 2.
Yeah, so it is an anthology of 18 different 6-page stories, technically 17 6-page story, 1 4-page story, and it goes across all sorts of genre. There is monster, there is coming of age, there is nostalgic memoiric comic, there's a superhero one. It goes all across the board genre-wise. There's a little bit of everything for everyone in there. The thesis of the book for when we were getting writers to submit pitches and pages in was that it had to have a jacket related somehow, whether it was just a prop, whether it was in a sentence, whether a character was wearing a coat and it was never once referenced. Some stories, the jacket itself is the MacGuffin that drives the whole plot.
Gotcha.
So,
cool.
Yeah. That's that. So the stories literally can be anything the writers wanted. It just had to somehow include a jacket of some sort or flavor. And then the Kickstarter itself has many different tiers to it. We have 2 different digital tiers. The first is just the book as a PDF. The second is a digital creators edition where we include the works in progress as it was an educational class. There's us with Scott, and there's
Look at that gang
JB
right
who
there.
was stuck on my phone. Yeah. And Tony Daniel. And then on the far right is Yusuf's, who is the writer of Calibus, who was just
This guy right here.
reviewed in Scott's most recent class. And that is one about a Turkish vampire fighting during World War One.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah. So then, as we were scrolling through, you saw some of the prints that we offer.
Yeah, I just
and
wanted to stop you there for a second. I know Steve Marto very well.
Oh, nice.
Such a great guy. He actually did a variant cover for my my current Mighty Mascots campaign. And I tabled next to him at a handful of conventions, and we just talk and have a great time. How is he part of the class, or is he?
He's not. We have to give JB, well, obviously Steve, but we have to give JB or Justin Hawkins credit for getting this amazing print, because we were on the fence. We went in class with the first cover, and we're like, do we want to stay in class with the variant cover, or do we want to maybe outsource it? Like, what do we do? And he had reached out to Steve, but we had decided, let's stay in class, keep with the theme. We'll have the variant cover be from someone from the class. But Steve sent back these awesome thumbnails of poster designs. We were like, guys, JB was like, guys, we can't pass this up. Like, this just looks way too cool. And all of us were staring at it. We're like, yeah, this has to be part of our campaign. So that's how that got there.
Yeah, Steve. I mean, he's one of those guys that he's so close to being like a Marvel DC artist. It's sickening that he isn't. And me and him have talked about doing a comic, so stay tuned. I don't know if we'll ever get it off the ground.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, we're talking about doing something. Yeah,
you gotta make that happen, Keith.
Yeah,
rock and roll.
Yeah, this guy's great. But anyways, yeah, please continue.
Yeah, so then we have the printed book edition, of course, which comes with both digital PDFs that we were talking about. Okay. And then there is the goodies, where you get either 3 variant prints, which is the cover, the other cover, and then the one by Steve that we were just talking about. And the other is that there is a bookmark and sticker pack that is by the artist of the primary cover, Nayara Rodriguez. Then there is the tier where you get the book plus all of the goodies in one. The next tier up, and you get every single goodie that we mentioned. The higher tier you go, you get all of them before. So just know that it's all compounded as I go up the way. Then the second to last one
was my favorite. Sorry, didn't mean to step on you there, but Bigfoot Mothman, awesome short story.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
It's so good. There's a panel in there of Bigfoot just yeeting. It's like of Bigfoot yeeting the log, and then like the next panel is it hitting Mothman.
Oh,
and
it's so good.
I laughed till I cried the first time that I saw that. I was like, that's one of the best things I've seen in a comic.
Yeah. So my 2 favorites, just to real quick to throw it in, was the Bigfoot versus Mothman and the pen. I don't know. I forget which.
That was by JB. The pen
was by Justin Hawkins. Yes.
Oh, the pen, dude! That pen story, like, they plucked all my heartstrings. It was so good.
Yes.
The art in there was also by Nayara Rodriguez, our cover artist. That's how we ended up picking her.
Oh,
yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I remember when we were doing the original first draft rounds, JB just messaged us and was like, sorry guys, the script is so long, and sent us like an Alan Moore length script for a 6-page comic.
It's like 19 pages.
Oh my god. Which is so dense, you have to go through it. Yeah, this is great. I mean, all the pages look awesome here.
Yeah.
And I love that the stories could be anything. Normally an anthology has a really strong theme, and I love that this is very loose and you could kind of do anything with it. I really appreciate it. I mean, these images are great.
Yeah, some real nice artwork here.
Like I'd be proud to present this. Like, you guys are making Scott look good because the anthology looks so good, So yeah, this is great stuff.
And you guys smashed your goal by double plus.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, man. Congrats on that, guys.
We were very, very relieved that it did as well on the first day. We got funded in the first 4 hours, which was just like,
that's awesome.
For months of buildup and promo and all the stress that went into it. When that one day went as it did, it was just like, okay, so much of the stress just off the shoulders right there. Because now we know the book is coming out for sure. Really quick, I want to just plug the last 2 tiers. There's an editorial jam session tier, which is you can submit your script with the 20 pages if it's of prose, a play, a comic script, even if it's a comic pitch. JB or I will review it and give you some feedback on it and what you can do to help develop it. And then the very last one is the signed by Scott Snyder tier.
Oh, look at that.
So it's going to take the longest to get that issue to you, but it is going to be signed by the man himself.
Yeah, that's
He will
great.
send it back out to you. And that'll be your copy of Tales from the Cloakroom to have Scott's signature on.
Will he do like an intro to the project or anything? Like, is he gonna be have any kind of involvement outside of his name being on it?
We don't have that set up, but he does he talks about us on the class before, and so he shouted us out in the class and talked about it a little bit. And we'll probably aim to talk with him and do that again once we enter the last 3 days mark or something like that. Yeah. He'll be out on social media, probably talking about it a little bit, just as we look to get that final push in.
Yeah.
And Hannah says, how could you say no to those art prints? I agree. Those look great. And my wife said that's awesome. Some good cryptid story. She's big on the cryptids. This looks cool. This looks awesome. And then so what tier do you guys recommend? Like what's like the sweet tier or the featured one? Do you guys have one of those?
I think whichever one, the art print ones, actually have been popular, more popular than I thought they would be. Yeah. People look at those art prints, right? How could you say no? Yeah, so those have been popping up. But one thing I would stress, just anyone listening, creators out there, anything helps. I know there could be sometimes there may be stigmas or something. What's the purpose if I just back the digital edition? I'm not even getting the book out there. No, we're greedy. We like that money. And in some ways, depending on what you can afford, right, there's production costs for us on those printing tiers. If you buy digital, there's no production cost for us. That just goes straight to any overhead and helping out the creators. So that's the beauty of Kickstarter. And there's so many awesome projects. You just buy whatever suits you the most. If you're a digital reader, don't hesitate. Purchase that. If you want to line your walls with beautiful art and stickers, then get the All Goodies tiers, and you're going to be happy when you have that Steve Mardo art print hanging up on your wall. You do whatever you want.
I would say that if you're a comic creator, the editorial tier is probably your best bet because, you would pay probably about the same amount if you were to hire an editor. So you're getting a good value here. You're getting the project, you're getting the anthology, and you're getting the opportunity to have your work reviewed. So that way, you're putting out a more quality product. So if you're a creator, that's the one I would recommend.
Here's the image that Steve Mardo did for me. This is
oh my goodness.
Isn't that great? That. Guy is incredible artist. I have this original too that I can't wait to get framed and put on my wall. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight Steve for a quick second there because he's an awesome artist that I can't believe isn't in the top 2 yet, But how's the trailer? Is the trailer long? Is that something we can show for the audience?
It's 1 minute long, and it's just me giving the pitch that I just gave you. But by all
right. We like to feature the trailer if it's something that's if it had
images.
Yeah.
But if you already kind of said it.
Yeah, you've seen most of what's there. Yeah.
there's flashy visuals. There's an entire like diagonal cut that happens. So if that's of interest,
is it all right if I show scroll through the PDF that you guys sent along?
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay, yeah,
fire that up,
because
there's actually like I read it today in prep for this show, and there's just so many awesome short stories in there that I want to geek out over.
Yeah, so here we go.
This one was great.
PDF that you guys
great Western dialogue. It's like the person who wrote it actually watched Gunsmoke and knows what Westerns are all about. Great Western. This is coming from somebody who wrote the comic for Sartana. This person definitely knows Western dialogue. Loved it.
That's the thing I was saying earlier. I love that, there's a Western story, and then you turn the page and there's cryptids. It's like, I love that it's all over the place. So
this one I wish was more
on this,
Yeah, this one I was disappointed by the end of it. That was just a short. I was like, "Where's the next issue?" It's like, "Give me some more of this."
Well, there you go, Johnny. Maybe the feedback, maybe the creators will continue this on their own. I hope so.
This was a really cool story. I dug it a lot. Western supernatural element. Loved it. Loved it.
Well, that's the thing. There's not a lot of good Western comics, so you're making one, and then these guys are making one, as far as I know,
I think it's making a comeback. I see a few Westerns out there.
It's good, yeah.
And just so all the audience knows, what they're looking right now is a digital version of that preview we gave away. So if you go to our Kickstarter, it's linked there. So you can get a taste test of the book yourself before you decide to back.
Okay. This is on the Kickstarter, so you can
this is linked on the Kickstarter, so you can take a look at these stories.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's nice of you guys to preview. How many pages is the anthology going to be when it's all said and done?
106 of story, and then there'll be 110 of credits and that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's actually good value, This is cool.
Yeah.
And you said each story's about 6 pages?
17 stories are 6 pages. One is a 4-pager.
Okay. What were you going to say, Jason? I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all I said. One is a 4-pager.
Gotcha.
I will say, though,
this one was awesome.
Yeah, an editorial note to see that side of things. You mentioned how well you thought Yuma was dialogued. We talked about, and this is just to any creators out there listening. I would recommend when you write, especially if you're scripting, write what's true to you. We've said we really like Yuma, and you guys really like the Penn story, which is JB's story. JB's script was 19 pages. I think Yuma's script was quite literally 6 pages or 8 pages. It was very tight. It was panel description, 1 sentence, dialogue. Panel description, 1 sentence, dialogue. Flash forward to JB's, another favorite. It's written completely differently. 19 pages long, all this expansive detail, all the panels really closely worked out. So, there's a lot that can go in. There's never a standard script view. And you're seeing right here 2 stories that are received very well, written literally complete opposite of each other. And that can depend on the artist you're working with. That can depend on how you write. So any creators out there, make sure you keep your options open and just write what works best for you and or your artist. If anything, write for your artist, because your artist will appreciate it. But
yeah, that's true.
I always advocate to say that leave some descriptive input for your artist, so it's less of a chore and more of a creative process.
Yeah, very cool.
This one was unsuspecting too at the end, and I didn't realize the jacket theme that you guys had mentioned, and then I saw that and I thought, oh, it's a good twist for this story. And now that I know it's a theme of the series, it's oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is great. There's not a clunker here. All the stories look great.
All the art styles, great. And this one's just so awesome. Great coloring.
This is
great
the one
lettering.
About?
This one was fantastic, Keith. Awesome art, awesome lettering.
And the pen.
Yeah. Look at the lettering job over here too.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
The voiceover,
and the way they did the paper,
the monologue. Dude, it's so good.
Really good stuff.
The timestamps, I love that it jumps time.
Yeah, no, I love that there's different storylines.
There's a particular page that I remember just being so taken by when I first saw the layouts and the black and whites, and it's the very last one, because the logic of how the panels are set up, not only do the panels guide your eyes very naturally with left to right, but if you look at where the eyes flow in all of it and where the pin is pointing like a few panels up, like it's like pin's pointing bottom left, her eyes are pointing bottom left, goes to the very last panel, he's looking down and pointing the pin diagonal upward, and the next panel is diagonal upward, which then flows down left to her looking at it, and it's pointed inward, and it makes this entire like clockwork down, clockwork the other way motion.
Yeah,
and I remember just seeing that and being like, that's so subtle and such good management of your space.
That's whoever the artist is here probably has a great design sense. Like, you definitely feels, like that's what's going on. Yeah, that's great. Anytime like a artwork can work like that, it's just I agree. I love that stuff. Yeah,
this one there's a lot of emotion in it, which I loved, because like this argument, this page right here where she's upset and this guy doesn't know better. Like, I felt bad for the guy a little bit, but he should have been more sensitive to it, right? Just because he didn't know, he was oblivious. But like, she was so mad. She's so mad.
Yeah. No, this is great.
Very real.
Yeah.
Look, Ara's joining us tonight. Missed you, buddy. Glad to see you back, man.
Hey, Ara. Glad to have you, man.
We're just going through this new Scott Snyder Tales from the Cloakroom Volume 2 anthology, which looks amazing.
One more thing about this last one with the pen is just it's so true, though. Even as a collector of things, you put the value into the product. There's always that saying that Superman #1 is only as valuable as the person who's going to pay $1 million for it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's that kind of thought that goes into it a little bit.
Yeah, no, these all look great. I'll have to sit down and read this preview when I get a free minute.
a great read for sure. I want to read the rest of them.
Nice. Yeah, no, this looks great. This is a great value for your money too. So, so check that out. And then, let's just take a quick look at the stuff here. So, $8,373.
Yep, 19 days to go.
Double your goal, and you just got 19 days to go. I could see this thing hitting
10K.
12 or 15, by the end of it.
15, yeah, for sure. At least 10K.
That's the goal. I mean, all you guys listening, however many's there, 6 more till 200. Like, maybe you could be the 200th backer just to say you were.
Yeah.
I will say on that note, while we're looking at funds, we have it down there on the campaign page, but because we've done so well, our stretch goals are just, aside from like trying to get bonus pay to our creators and stuff, we are including a bunch of digital, like freebie digital books with our campaign. So that's some of the artwork you see down there. We have 2 issues of a series called The Embassy by one of our writers, Lance Armstrong, or not Lance Armstrong. I always do that. Lance Stanford. He did that.
That's because that Lance name is so entwined with Armstrong,
I was filling out the campaign and I forgot his name and not even thinking. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's Armstrong. I was like, no, that's an entirely different person. But he's got The Embassy. We've got another short story from the writer of Yuma in there, the Western.
Nice.
That will be a freebie digital comics. We've got some other ones we will reveal as the campaign goes on. Probably put another one out there when we hit 9K, most likely the goal. But overall, if we hit all our stretch goals and keep running, you can get up to 120 pages of bonus digital content from various issues and short stories. I think right now, sitting at an extra 60-ish pages, close to that, somewhere around that area. So keep up the support, keep backing, and you'll get even more stuff to read.
That's great. And one thing I wanted to ask too, like, is there what was the thought behind the pricing? Like, I see like you have 28 for it. Like why not 25 or 30? Is it something to do with the shipping?
Yeah, so
much.
the shipping is shipping is secondary. It really is just, cost of manufacturing plus what can we buttress in to make sure our artists get repaid the most that they possibly can for their
Gotcha.
time and their effort. So, yeah.
Harry said
it has to do.
Lance Armstrong almost redeemed himself. What were we going to say, Jason?
I mean, that's some of, like, as we talked about editorial duties earlier on in the show, that, that's some of the stuff we have to figure out. A lot of it is what we're hopeful for is you have some campaigns that can do fulfillment, and that might save money on shipping, might not if they do their own fulfillment. It kind of depends. We're not handling our own fulfillment. Everything's being done by the printing company. We're using Lulu, which so hopefully means once the campaign ends, we can just take our order forms, we give them to Lulu, and then Lulu can start shooting out books at people as soon as we get those order forms in, trying to get these books to people the fastest.
Gotcha.
So that's where the pricing comes from. And like we said earlier, talking about the digital tiers a little bit, like the margin on the print and production cost of stories is small. So that's why the price might see like a little odd. I mean, our goal first and foremost for our creators is to get the book out there, get their name out into the world,
Gotcha.
Get it so they can have it. So, I mean, you're seeing, the best price we can get you to get this story out there and make sure everyone can enjoy it.
Right. So instead of like getting like the extra $2, like, if you want to give the readers a little, as cheap as humanly possible to get it, and still be able to help the creators out and cover all your costs as well. So I get that. I was just curious about the pricing. If there was like some logic behind it, but yeah, no, this looks great, guys. And congrats to you and every creator involved in this. I think this is an awesome project, anything you guys want to add to it before before we start wrapping things up, or anything you want to talk about with the project, or anything?
So with the Kickstarter, obviously we're only going until 19 days from now. We encourage everyone to just hop on, and like Jason said earlier, even if you can only afford the digital one, no worries. We were more than happy to take that and get you a copy of the book. Like, little spoiler, I at the time of Volume 1 could only afford doing the PDF version of Volume 1 because I was starting my first semester of grad school. So like literally no shame to whatever anyone's circumstances are. And then the other is that if you are interested at all in joining any of the community of creators, networking, talking to us, you can reach out to any of us. We'll like the socials that we will leave in the episode for the Kickstarter. You can also reach Jason or I through, and our Twitters will be linked to all of them. And then also encourage you to join Scott's Our Best Jacket class, even if you just give it the 1 or 2 month go around, just to hop on the Discord and get talking to people, because nothing will get you moving and on your feet with making the comic you always wanted to than talking to people who also want to do the same.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I was gonna ask about that too. Like, so if creators want to get involved in a future, I'm assuming since this was successful, there will be a Volume 3 at some point.
We hope
maybe.
So.
Hope so. Maybe.
So the goal, I mean, what was set up here was Volume 1 did good. They had their editorial team, and like it is a lot of work. So I think some of them, like, they maybe had other projects to move on, or they were like, I've done what I wanted to do here. They hand off the reins to Volume 2. Initially, because I want to go into publishing, I'm like, man, I'm just going to do this forever. Well, now all the work has been put in. It's starting to wind down. I'm like, maybe I'll take a break for a little bit.
Well-deserved break.
Yeah. And part of it is because I'm younger, I'm looking to get experience in other areas. I'm attached to actually a philosophy journal that's published by my college. So that's what I'll be working on next year. It is the goal of, at least me, Logan has expressed it too, if other students get together for Volume 3, we want to be there almost as like consulting editors, because the truth of the matter is the people involved with Volume 1, they were incredibly helpful for us in getting things together. And a special shout out especially goes to former editors Ben O'Grady and Aubrey Lynn Jepson. O'Grady was actually on your show.
Yeah,
he talked to you
part
guys.
of the Snowy
yeah.
Yeah,
both of
right?
them were just like beyond helpful in helping us, get things set up, getting communications with Scott Snyder and his assistant Tyler going. And so, our goals is we might take a little bit of a back seat, but hopefully we can do the same if people, start volume 3. If I'm, working on that journal and I'm like, man, this is a drag, I need something else to do, I'll get more involved with volume 3 if it's there. If I miss it, I'll come back. If there's a volume 4, even, get involved or whatever. The pipe dream between us editors is just that this can happen for as long as Scott's class happens. Every year, maybe a new team or even a recurring team of people comes in and gets to show the comics community, like, hey, this is what happens when you dedicate this time and this effort to putting together a creative community. You get, this awesome book that highlights these people. And when you keep it going, these awesome works keep coming out and they stay alive. So that's the goal. Whether that happens, we'll see. Because, at the end of the day, editing, it is a lot of work. It's not like this is what we do. I've got my own job. I'm a student, got other things in life.
Yeah.
For the people in the book, if you're a writer and you don't know how to draw, to pay someone to draw your story costs a lot of money in most cases. It's not an easy process. Yeah. So while we'd love to see it happen, understand if it doesn't, but we're hopeful that this can be something that will keep going as long as Scott's class does, really. So awesome. That's the plan.
I don't even know who this is, but I'm sure it's funny. Volume 3 will feature Arthur Pistorius. Is that do you even know who that is? So
I
just
have no
Gary
idea.
being weird.
That's a deep cut. I have no idea.
Victorious.
Oh, so what is that from?
I have no idea. I just thought that'd be a funny thing to say.
Oh, okay. Harry, you'll have to elaborate in the chat. None of us got the reference.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I do want to add to that really quick is that volume 2 being volume 2 ended up being the nature of sort of following the heels of the successful Kickstarter of the first book. Okay. And when we met, we actually, when I was putting out feelers, one thing that I said to a lot of people was, do we want to do Tales from the Cloakroom Volume 2? Or do we want to try to do something else? Do we want to do an anthology of horror, of sci-fi, of what is our mission statement that we want? Almost unanimously, people said, let's do volume 2. And then for anyone who had a different opinion, it was like, I'm open to it being something else, but volume 2 sounds good to me. So
yeah, you guys set it up so you could do horror, you could do westerns, you could do anything. So yeah, why change it? You got something that's working, keep it going.
Later down the line, it could be, Scott Snyder presents his own Rocky Picture Horror Show comic book. Who knows? It depends on what the class decides. But for now, this is what we've set up. So we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, no, that's good. So we've been going for an hour and 20 minutes. So I'm going to start wrapping this thing up. So did you guys want to share any social medias where people can find you or where people can find the...
I can't. Oh, here's the comments. Oh, I can't comment on this from here. We can give you guys links if you can post them. You're in the private chat.
Yeah, go in the private chat and post them.
Yeah, I have them pulled up. I'm ready.
Okay, yeah.
Awesome.
Send them
yeah,
to me
I'll plug them verbally while Jason
the
puts them in.
Okay.
So that's the Kickstarter link.
I usually share it too, and I totally forgot. Here we go. Okay. There we go.
So,
that's the link for Tales from the Cloakroom if people want to back that.
I've got it on the remind, so it's going to let me know before it closes out.
And we got a link tree for Jason.
So that link tree has our Kickstarter. It has a link to the preview. Our Twitter, Instagram. Twitter is that's where Logan and I are typically messing around, and it has links to our personal Twitters. Okay. Instagram is Justin's realm. He's doing a lot of the postings on there and such.
Okay.
That's just how it's divided. Then there's a link to Snyder's Our Best Jacket if you want to go sign up for the class after listening to this. And that's pretty much all our links. That's the beauty of Linktree.
Yeah, and I recommend
use Linktree.
I recommend if you don't join the class, at least get on Scott Snyder's newsletter, because he does send out a newsletter that's free, and it has a lot of good info in there too. You know,
I also challenge anybody to read the preview and not want to buy it.
Oh yeah, perfect. And
Exactly.
you can download the preview right from the Kickstarter, I'm sure, from that link tree as well.
100%.
Also, I salute somebody. We got a backer while we were speaking. Don't know if it was someone in the audience, but
Yeah, look at that. We often pride ourselves that we move the needle just a little millimeter. We don't move it a ton, but we move it enough that it made it worth coming on and talking to us for 2 hours. So that's like our claim to fame, you know. So that's good. I'm glad somebody jumped on and grabbed the book while we were talking. That's great. Awesome. Johnny, anything you want to add to before we close out this episode?
Well, first, I just want to take a moment to thank Logan and Jason for coming on the show. We appreciate you taking your time to share this project with us. Everybody, make sure you go out and you back Tales from the Cloakroom Volume 2. Amongst that, I actually have a couple other projects that I have that I'm backing right now. I wanted to shout out.
Okay, go for it.
We got Charlie's Spot from our good friend George O'Connor. That is up next week.
Oh, is he doing a collected one of that?
He's doing a collected of Charlie's Spot. Yep. And then we have Jason Lorenz's Skin of My Teeth. The guest that was on the previous show. He's got horror comic. So that's something I'm backing right now. Another friend of ours, Trevor Lenkowitz, he's got Minutes to Midnight. It's basically a horror anthology that's about the last few minutes of people's lives. That's out there right now. My friend Mario Candelaria, he's got One True Love. Check that out. Let's see. We also have our good friend, oh God, his name's escaping me right now. John, oh God.
What's the book?
John Celestri.
Oh, John Celestri
is back with another issue of Fire Fist. Check that out. Some people might
I think it's the collected one for him as well.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So for those who don't know, John Celestri did the cartoon sequence in the Star Wars Holiday Special. He's got his own book. It's called Fire Fist. Check that out on Kickstarter. And last but not least, it's not a comic book, but it's called Power on the Go Energon 300. It's a power brick that is basically right now you can get it for $200 online, but it could like give you power at your comic booth for the duration of the show and then some. So, you know, where instead of paying like $300 to have power at your booth at a convention, get one of these bricks.
Oh, wow. That's a great idea.
Yep.
That way you don't have to pay $200 once and you have it for every show. Yeah.
And then, you know, think about it like this. If you're an illustrator, right, and you want to do live sketching at your booth, you've now enabled yourself to do so. You can hook up a monitor, hook up a Wacom tablet and have at it. You know, or like in my instance where I have the cafe pop up from Surrounded by Death, I would be able to run my cafe booth off of this brick. Instead of spending $300.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll have to check that out. I want to reiterate what Johnny said. Thank you guys both for coming on the show, sharing this awesome project with us. Mm-hmm. And if you guys ever talk to Scott Snyder, tell him ICR says hey, and we love him over here on our show.
Sure.
And then and then I guess if you guys have any money after you're done backing Tales from the Cloakroom Volume 2, Mighty Mascots still in demand on Indiegogo, so check that out. Throw a few bucks that way. We're going to press very soon, hopefully by the end of this month. I'm hoping. I'm trying to get everything together, but we'll see. It's going to be tight. So, but yeah, and then me and Johnny are back in 2 weeks with Global Comics again. They're going to be showing us their brand new features that they have coming up on the app if they're not live yet. Johnny, you're more familiar.
I'm using the app right now. Periodically, yeah. I should be using it a little bit more, but they are going to showcase their new mobile app.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's out yet or if it's on the brink of coming out, but
they're going to show us the features and what's new in this new version.
I'm looking forward to what they're cooking over there.
Yeah, definitely. They are the end game for digital now, you know. They've eclipsed everybody. So I can't wait to have them on. So we're going to have Chris Carter, the CEO, and I think Eric Tapper is the name?
Eric Tapper, Chris Carter, and we may have a few other people.
Yeah, they're going to come on and do a presentation, and we're just going to ask them questions.
And I have my customary feature request that I'm going to pin on them. Every time we have them on, I ask for a feature request, and by like a year later, 2 years later, if they finally fulfill it.
Yeah,
so I've got a
definitely.
new one for them.
yeah, absolutely. So they'll be here in 2 weeks, so you guys can learn what's coming from Global Comics and how that'll affect you as an indie creator if you have books on there. And then after that, the week after that, we have the creator of Here Comes Calico, which I'm dying to talk to. I love that dude's comic.
Yeah, you gave me copies of that book to read.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a superhero that goes after animal abusers, and all the funding from his comic actually goes to help you fight animal abuse in real life. So I'm dying to talk to this guy. Imagine the Punisher, but the Punisher just killing animal abusers. That's what this comic is. Very interesting take and a very cool looking book. So definitely want to talk to him. And that'll be it. So we have an exciting couple of weeks coming up on ICR. Any last words before we close out this episode of Indie Comics Relay? Anything you guys want to say before we close it out?
Go and make your comic.
Awesome. I love it. That's words to live by. Johnny?
Be kind to each other.
I love it. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching as always. And we will back in 2 weeks and we will talk to you later. Read some comics. All right. Good night, everybody.